Is which document, please?
It is summary of the TSA collection income.
From the Office of the Accountant General?
Yes, it was submitted.
Already submitted to us here?
Yes, sir.
That's in the submission of the Accountant General?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please. Yeah, Remita wanted to tell us whether individual customers were paying any fees in those years.
Not at all, sir. At any point in time, only one fee regime subsists. And at that point in time, it was only government that was responsible for the payments. And we'll be able to speak to that at another time, sir.
Okay, so in that time, the payer just goes to whatever platform is using and pays the exact sum without being charged by either Remita or the bank.
You're correct, sir. It is the equivalent today, sir. If you want to purchase something with POS, you just put your card and the actual amount is what is debited. And the fees is sorted between the bank that provided the POS to the merchant. That was the model on which this took off, where government was the one that had engaged for the collection of fees. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so in the agreement that you had, where is this payment by Office of the Accountant General covered in the agreement?
Hello, Chair. Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you very much. So on the agreement, there is P's annexure that shows for e-payment, a tariff of 100 naira per mil per transaction will be charged. And CBN will take 40%, system spec will take 60%. That was the initial plan. Yeah, for the collection, which started in 2015, the platform owner, which is System Specs, will take 50%.
No, answer.
Okay.
I'm saying the one that pushes that obligation on the government, on the Accountant General is what I'm asking, sir. The clause, the lawyer can help us. So please, which of the clauses of the agreement pushes that obligation to the office of the federal government? Well, Accountant General is spending government money. It's not his own money. You can go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Honorable Chairman, members, if we look at the fee annexure on page 14 of the agreement, which we're going to make available, the notes on fee, item 1 of notes on fee, actually say all fees are payable simultaneously with the transaction and deducted from the nominated account.
Please, can you come again, please?
Yes, sir. That in the agreement,
yes,
we have an explanation there, that is the notes on fees.
A note on fees, okay.
Yes, sir. On page 14 of
All
the
right.
agreement. I don't know if the chair or members have the agreement. All fees are payable simultaneously with the transaction. So it's not that maybe, and deducted from the nominated account. Nominated account being the account that is receiving. Please, if you want to come in there.
Okay, I don't know. Is it on this same issue, please?
Yes, it's on this same issue, but legal, sir, that's not the issue here. But the implication of what you've just told us now is that whoever is paying to the account is the one that is responsible for the fees. What the chairman has asked you is that where is it written in the agreement that you signed that the Office of the Accountant General will pay on behalf of those that remitted?
Actually, we need to also still quickly get something clear. When this was being conceptualized and this agreement was written, it's an agreement by a banker engaging a service provider to help it, that is the bank, to smoothen its operations. So the customer is actually alien to such contract and not privy. Yes, it's the customer that is the holder of the account, no doubt about it. We should have that context. But however, for the payment of all these funds, there is a letter from the Office of the Accountant General, I don't know whether it's before you, dated 22nd October 2018. There you are going to have instructions about payment and the rest of them. So in the agreement, yes, you do not have it, but if you are to interpret where payment is to come from, and we interpret nominated account, if it were to be the customer, it will be the account from which payment is being made. But that is not the case here, so it cannot, with due respect to Honorable, that position would not represent what this agreement is saying. It's a nominated account. I think the question that one would be expecting, what is this nominated
this agreement in question is, is between which parties?
Central Bank and System PAC, and Central Bank bankers to federal government. So I will not, sorry sir.
I told you the other time, please, it helps us. It helps us to have a very good conversation when you speak, and then whenever we come on, just listen to. So in the principle of privity of contract, which you just made a reference to, this contract is between the Central Bank of Nigeria and the System PAC.
Correct, mandating its customers to pay certain things. If I may, sir.
Okay.
If I may, a bank operates widely, and its operations, it's not just about collection of money and all that. There are also ancillary services and ancillary charges that will come with services being rendered.
Those are not the issues. The issues are you cannot do anything outside of the contract. The issue is that obligation that has cost the federal government about 10 billion naira in those years. We have not even confirmed. The information we have is far more than that. It's far more than that. It's in the tune of almost 15 billion naira. But let's even take the figure they have read out. The obligation that was placed on government by virtue of that agreement is covered under which clause of the agreement? The clause you read out does not cover the agreement, with respect. It does not cover it. Nominated account. Whose account? But so, and I wanted to just stick to issues so that we don't muddle it up. We are not, we're here to get the truth and the facts, and then be able to do things right going forward. And if things have been done wrong in the past, we have to seek for a way to, to get them corrected. So it is only when you help us with the facts and the truth.
Thank you, Chairman. I actually want to move to another level of this discussion. Gentlemen, CSS PAC and the CBN, I think we are listening, please. I actually want to move to another angle of this transaction. When this agreement was consummated, there are basic transaction dynamics to it. In a simple way, what are these transaction dynamics? This e-commerce, collections, revenues, and receipts. What are the dynamics? These are things I want to get out. Number one, is it possible for money that gets to Remita platform to go into personal accounts? That's number one. Number two, CBN, all MDAs, you can produce the statements of accounts of all MDAs as part their payments, revenue. You have it. In the plan, you have it. You have your own, Remita has its own. Why the agency themselves, they should have their own. Now, I understand that the transaction counts from the agency should tally with what was received at Remita, which means the amount at the end of the day should be equal. I want to ask, since the start of this program, has there been any time that the CBN or Academia has done a holistic reconciliation? And lastly, Do we suspect there can be leakages out of this? Processes are okay, good, but there can be some lapses. Have you ever discovered that there can be lapses where there can be leakages in this system? So when you tell me about data mix, take note of those things I've discussed and let us see how it goes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And let me remind you, there was a question by a honorable member about MDAs complaining of lack of receipt of statements. Because most of them, when they came here, told us that they don't know anything about the account, they don't have access to the account, the CBN doesn't give them a statement as it used to be the case and so on. So it's like I have a bank account I can't even access information on the account. So just add that to those other questions. Thank you. Okay, and take one more, please.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for yielding the floor. Back to my legal person. Once again, you've stated clearly here that the agreement was between System Spec and then CBN. Am I correct? So I'm just wondering why an agreement between System Spec is being funded or the burden of it is being borne by Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. Please, I'll need a clearance on that. I want to understand why the Office of the Accountant General is now the one bearing, not even that CBN is benefiting, why the Office of the Accountant General is being, yes, you said the money is being shared between both parties when the Accountant General Office pays. So I'm wondering how an agreement between System Spec and the CBN is now being borne by Office of the Accountant General, the funding. Thank you very much.
That's like a reiteration of the earlier. Yeah.
I was actually going to ask for the chairman's permission to actually add to the responses we gave earlier on. It seems that has provided the opportunity. We go back to the fact that, yes, Chairman mentioned privity of contract. It's between CBN and System Spec, right? To do what? To provide services. So actually, the benefit to the federal government through the Office of the Accountant General is that services will be provided to a customer of Central Bank of Nigeria.
So in your position now, you can bind the federal government that you said could not have issued a circular to ask that the Attorney General. So without the Attorney General's imprint, you will now, in your own comfort of your zone, bind federal government to paying billions of naira with the contract. No, that position, by any stretch of imagination, it can't stand.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. There was a question on who advised CBN to come up with the electronic payment platform.
Who advised CBN?
Yes, I think that was his question. So there was interministerial TSA technical committee. During the meeting, it was discussed that there is need for integration to facilitate seamless payment operation. So that's what gave rise to the engagement or discussion around who should we engage. The next question he asked is process for selecting the system specs. So a lot of rigorous work was done, starting from submitting of document, discussion to understand what each of the company will offer, demonstration of its capability. If you have an existing system, existing infrastructure do you have? If you have, there is also validation and verification of that claim. There is also recognition of a company that has been doing similar services to banks, because CBN too is a bank. They want to engage a company that will be rendering, that will be providing platform for payment services. So all these were considered. National security was also considered in taking or selecting system specs as a service provider. There's also a question on notification of change of name. Yes, the actual, what triggered the change of name was actually a policy of CBN, payment system policy, that said if you are providing payment solution service, you cannot be doing certain things. So for system specs to be doing certain things, it means they have not qualified. So they form Remita to provide solution service and switching service. So Remita provided all the necessary documentation for CBN to issue a license to Remita as a company. So yeah. Okay. Can agency, okay, statement of account. Yeah, there was a question on statement of account. The Remita system enables generation of statement, checking of balance online, but there was a period when that services was taken away. That was the reason why MDAs were complaining. Recently, Remita can confirm, MDA can confirm that service has been restored and is working. When it was down, all MDAs were advised to request for statement from CBN, and we've been providing that service up to now because we are a banker. The account is not actually on Remita, it's not on system spec, it's not on in AGF, it's in the CBN being a banker. So we've been providing the statement and sending it to the email of MDS. Okay, reconciliation. We MDAs are supposed to be reconciling their own account, and they'll be reconciling their own account, while CBN is supposed to reconcile Remita transit account, which we have been doing along with Remita, CBN, the branches that manages those transactions. In addition, when
you do the reconciliation of the transit account with the banks.
Banks have transit account, we have transit account. Banks are expected to be reconciling their transit account. Okay, somebody asked the purpose of the transit account. You know, you don't do gross. When you pay to government agency, it doesn't hit the government agency immediately. So where they are keeping, when they debit your account in a commercial bank, they keep the credit in transit account. So in a day, they can do 1 million, 2 million transactions of that nature. But during settlement, they will now compute and sweep the balance.
How long does that take?
Twice in a day, currently. We do settlement twice in a day. Yeah. So that's the reason for the interface account, transit account. Banks reconcile the transit account. We also reconcile our own transit account. MDAs are supposed to reconcile their account. And we have instances where MDAs will discover they are expecting money, they have not received it, they will now write to OAGF. OAGF will forward to us and we will do our reconciliation and see it in the transit account and we correct it. So it's to show that MDAs are actually reconciling their TSA account. Yes.
Okay, sorry, please. You will need to give us the record of those reconciliation of those transit accounts. We need to have the record in soft copy so that we don't bring too many papers. We will need the record of those reconciliation because that's part of the issues that we're trying to sort out. Director, you understand that? Or CBN, you understand that? Thank you.
There was a question to whether money can go into private account using Remita. You know, Remita is a service. Individual beneficiaries, they have private account. So it means if MDA is paying a contractor who has a private account, money can go into that private account. If, at the instance of the MDA, of course, if MDA is paying salary to individual staff, money can pass through Remita to individual account. If you want to do bulk of load, pay millions of Nigeria intervention, you can equally do, or social intervention funds, you can equally use Remita and money will go into those private accounts. So it's possible.
Okay, but let me also ask, or maybe it's Remita, I should ask this. The RRR that you generate, how unique are they?
Thank you, Mr.
Can
Chairman.
you have the same RRR for 3-4 different transactions?
It is possible, and I can explain, sir.
It's possible.
I can explain.
Okay, explain, please.
An RRR uniquely identifies a single transaction. But a single transaction in the course of its history, based on configuration, may be split along the way. So you may say, for instance, there's an inflow to go to an MDA. That person paying will have a unique RRR. So if he's paying 1,000 naira, but at the back, if you had said that 25% should go to a particular account because you are a funded MD, it will go, but it will maintain that. But by the time you add everything together, it will still uniquely reference that RRR.
Okay, you help us with this, please, to understand it better.
Okay.
The instruction to split is from the MDA.
The configuration of receipts falls into different categories as per the guidelines. They are fully funded MDAs,
Okay.
where 100% must go to
government
that
accounts.
account. That will be a single RRR. There are partially funded that says this percentage must go to CRF, but this percentage must go to another account. As far as the payer is concerned, it's going to have one RRR. When it's being reconciled at the back, they will still be able to tie that RRR appearance. So it will carry that reference and say this is 25% here. At another leg, say this is 75%. So there are instances where, but at the end of the day, you'll be able to uniquely tie that single RRR.
Back to, I just want to ask a simple question between the CBN and Remita. Why do we have two clearing houses? Yes, a clearing. Why is it two clearing houses? One with a branch and then one with the headquarters. That's what the bank told us here. The transit account. Why do we have two transit accounts before the CBN or something? Why two transit accounts, please? Yes, one. Why?
Okay, I think...
Excuse me, please. Excuse me, please. Are you done with the first set of those questions? So we are taking another set now. Is that fine? Just note the first one that my colleague asked. And then about QC. That's fine, sir.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman.
Huh? More than one account. Yes. Yes. Agency can maintain more than one account.
All right.
It's justification, and it has to pass through Office of the Accountant General before
All right.
we open that account.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chairman. The Deputy Governor and the Director, whilst you were talking, you mentioned that when you, according to the letter from the Office of the Accountant General, Remita was issued another license. You remember, sir? Yeah, so that was what we tried asking our legal brother initially. Now that Remita has a license, what agreement justifies that license? Was it the system specs agreement, or you gave them another license? After giving them another license, they had another agreement. Thank you.
Is not as part of the agreement we had with them for the TSA operation. The Remita license, like any other company that is requiring license from CBN, was given to them to provide switching and solution services. Yes. So how? Yes. Yes. But just like Director Legal mentioned, we are undergoing innovation process to recognize Remita as an entity, as a legal entity to continue to provide the services for the CBN. Remita is 100% on.
So is it safe to say that as of today,
yes,
whilst that is going on, is it safe to say that Remita is collecting? Is it safe to say that Remita is collecting those monies on behalf of CBN and the federal government illegally, since you've not signed anything from them? Okay.
Colleague, I don't want us to.
The Director Legal has answered
I don't want us to. We have taken note of his position, and we'll take our own decision on that one, so that we don't still go back to it.
I have a simple
Yes.
question. Director, Operations. Accountant General paid remittance their kind of commission, right?
Director of Banking Service, rather.
Yes.
You
They
call
paid
him
them.
Operation. That's the new office.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. So, based on your records, can you please avail this committee, with the leave of the chairman, the amount that the Accountant General paid Remita, please? What's on the records?
We have taken that.
Okay.
We have taken it.
They are submitting it, right?
No, we have taken note of that, and he said it's in the submission of the Accountant
We
General.
want to get from the
that they gave us.
central bank submission.
The central bank told us that they don't have the figures. That's what he said.
General said he will
And Accountant General gave us the figure. Huh?
Yes, sir. Sir, I noticed that even in what I read, the total is there. When you mentioned about 15 billion, I think you are right. The first payment, 8.5, second 1.3, 4.4, and then the third one. And when you sum up to that, slightly above or below 15 billion.
So why did you not give us 9.something billion, sir?
So I noticed that.
Are you even on oath at all? I can't remember that they put you on oath. Are you on oath?
Not really, sir.
Ah. It would have been good for you to be on oath. Because we have our own information, and a lot of things that you say here, we just keep quiet. We have our own information.
It's part of what we submitted, sir.
But you didn't read out what you submitted.
Let me clarify this, sir.
Okay, sorry, sir. Chairman, I don't know. We noticed that it was only us that took the oath, and we had quite a number of people here. So,
what did you say, sir?
So, yeah.
Huh?
And so we noticed that it was only CBN that took the oath. Others should have taken it as well, I think.
No.
I'm not suggesting
No.
anything. I just
They are not. They are here as part of our team. Yes, they are. The Auditor General and the Accountant General are always here, so that we make reference to them. But it's because of what he's doing that I asked maybe he should be put on oath, so that we'll have a long rope to also pull him.
We are comfortable, sir. Thank you.
And Remita has been on oath before, so Remita is on the existing oath. But one other thing you have not told us is how much has been paid CBN till date. Out of all the fee regimes, how much have CBN earned from all these transactions since the commencement of the contract? You haven't answered that. I hope you have the figure with you. Do you, sir? Deputy Governor. Use the microphone.
Yeah. We'll compile and get it across to the committee before close of business today, please. Okay. Yeah, the total for CBN only, yeah.
Deputy Governor, sir.
Sir.
In the course of our interaction with various parties, we realized that the fees and the VAT are centrally collected and shared centrally. And those parties, especially the banks, deposit money banks, paid VAT to FIRs. What mechanisms do you have in place to ensure that the accurate and correct VATs in regards to the TSA or Remita transactions are properly remitted to FIRs?
Okay. Oh, all right. Maybe since the Deputy Chairman has taken us to that, I thought that would be some of the last issues. But let me flesh that up a little bit. The VAT component of the collections, from the testimonies of some of the banks here, the VAT component of the collections are added up and shared along the ratio in the contract. Is that correct? Is it correct that the VAT component, the VAT component of those payments are added up with the 150 naira? And then it is 150 naira plus the VAT that is now shared in line with, that's the position of some of the banks that came here. Is that correct? Let's start from there. CBN.
Okay. We will want to call on Remita to take.
No, you can't call on anyone. We can call on someone.
Oh, okay, sir.
If you don't have the information, you tell us you don't have.
Okay.
And it will be so sad if you don't have, sir.
No, I have.
You are the banker to the federal government.
No, we do have. You know, like I said, sometimes when you're coming in, some certain things will be by the wayside. But we'll get that and get it across, along with the other one before close of business today. But you talked about mechanism. Yes, the mechanism exists. So we can give you, accurate figures on these numbers.
We are not asking for figures now. These are the dynamics. Is it correct? Is that something like that happen? Does it happen? We are not asking that how much now, but do you support the VAT collection and share? That's what it's a thing. We are not asking for figures. Anyone should know. You are in that desk. I don't know that thing.
Use your microphone, Honorable. I want this to be on record.
But when you are taking charges, the P, there are two accounts. The P is going to a different account, VAT is going to a different account. And at the end of the day, the VAT is supposed to be remitted. So that's why I will go confused when we say we are sharing VAT. Except if you say we are sharing according to...
Not less than 5 banks have come here to give evidence on oath. And they affirmed that what constitutes their collections, I mean their fees, is a percentage of the fee paid and the value added tax added together. So we're asking you as the banker to government to confirm whether that is true or not. That shouldn't be difficult, I suppose.
Okay, for the purpose of getting certificate of remittance of VAT, the sharing can be done in a way that each bank can remit its own VAT from the fee given to them. That may be the reason why we were doing that, so that each.
Okay, just wait. Remita, you want to talk about?
Thank you, sir. Just to provide some clarification. I think at the heart of the matter is this service VATable in the first instance? As a VATable service, what happens to the VAT associated with the transactions? And how is it remitted? I'm just trying to see if that is what we're trying to drive at. If it is, yes, these transactions are VATable. 2, VAT is charged at the point of transaction. 3, every person who is part of the ecosystem takes responsibility for the fee and the VAT associated with that. 4, they have responsibility for the remittance of the VAT. So for every transaction here that has been presented, the VAT components exist according to the persons who have partaken in the fees. And the remittance, they will need to be able to speak to that, if that helps us.
So each bank will speak to the remittance of the VAT components after sharing.
Yes, sir.
The CBN will also give us evidence of the remittance of the VAT after sharing, after collecting from the pool.
Yes, sir.
And the same thing with the remitter.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that very interesting? Because,
if I may, sir.
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. This happened on account of double taxation at that point. Because in our own books, everybody's revenue was being charged. And FRS was the whole fee, they were charging CIT on what should actually go to everybody. And it has become standard industry practice in payments that the person earning the fee has, because in their own books, that is a service with VAT. And that is why that position has been taken.
Okay, Remita, how much has been the VAT collection on these transactions since inception?
I do not readily have that here, sir. We'll provide that. I presented it at one of the sessions. We'll represent that,
okay,
sir.
Please present us with the total VAT collection and the breakdown, the itemized year by year.
There was a question on 2 clearing.
On what?
Two clearing by honorable member.
Two?
He mentioned two clearing. Is it two clearing house? I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That is for the commercial bank. For us, it's only one clearing house. So it's a model. If you decide to do two or to replicate interface account in all your branches, that is your choice. But it is only one transit account that we have in our own Central Bank of Nigeria. In terms of clearing, there are only 2 sessions in a day. We settle twice in a day. I hope that clarifies the question.
I'll come back to Remita. Remita, please, when you were explaining the fact that the RRR, yes, unique, but that the component of the payment could be split based on the instruction of the agency or based on the mandate of the agency. So how does why does the Office of the Accountant General then do a direct debit of these funds? Because what you are saying in essence is that it is not all monies paid by an individual, by a payer, that ends up in the treasury single account of the agency. That's correct. That's your position. It's not necessarily that a payment must land in the treasury single account of the agency.
You're correct, sir, as per the TSA operational guidelines, but there's context. And I believe the Accountant General will be able to speak to that, sir.
But they do a direct debit of the account of those agencies. How do they factor in the monies that didn't come into the account, which are supposed to be a part of, because they now do a debit of their percentage, operating surplus or whatever they need to pay the government. So how does that work?
Thank you very much, sir. We're getting to the dynamics, like Honorable said earlier. There's been evolution, and it's been positive for the country on account of TSA. Some things that started manually have now become automated. And what started before now, what MDs were doing was they were just receiving inflows, and at their own instance will determine what is operating surplus when they remit.
Central Bank, please, I do hope we are following this narration, because the interesting thing there is that it's not all monies paid to government that comes into the TSA account. That's the implication.
Not exactly, sir. The TSA is not it's a combination of accounts.
It's not a single account.
No. The Treasury single account is denominated as a set of linked accounts.
Of course, I know, but okay, can a private account qualify to be a TSA? An account of a company, can it be a TSA?
No, sir.
The answer is no. So if a part of the payment goes into a company account?
No, that is not the context. That one MD, even at CBN, can have more than one account, which was answered earlier, sir.
No, please.
Okay.
Maybe you didn't get what the question we're asking then. The question we're asking is, the RRR is unique to every payer. You said yes.
To every transaction, yes, sir.
To every transaction, thank
yes,
you.
Sir.
You confirm that. Is it possible for the RRR to be split into several accounts, for the monies meant for RRR 777 to go into the TSA account and still go into some private accounts?
No, sir. And that's what I'm saying. There's no private account involved in TSA. This is inflow.
Not private.
I'm responding to what the chairman just said, sir.
No, why do you say not private?
No, not private, like individual. When you say other account, individual account.
Let's get it very well. Is it possible for an RRR that Mr. Joshua is initiating a payment to NAFDAC, and then the money goes, of course, from that Mr. Joshua's account, comes into your the transit account of the bank, and at the point of sweeping, a part of that sum flows into an account of a company, Is that a possible scenario?
No, sir. No, sir. What I was explaining earlier, sir, for riding on what you've shared now, sir, one account, one payment, before you are even able to make payment, OAGF has defined the number of accounts into which that money should flow.
Excellent.
Those are the only accounts listed. So for some
And
payments,
they are all government accounts. They are all linked to the TSA.
I don't know how to answer that. I'm saying the accounts nominated, sir.
Are the accounts nominated
Maybe OAGF will be able
necessarily
to.
TSA accounts? Or
OAGF will be able to answer that, sir, since they're responsible for the account setup.
What you said initially, and I want to hold you by your word, was that it is possible for such monies to be paid on the mandate or the structure of the agency receiving the money as part of, now they are under an obligation to pay a certain percentage to government, but that the other percentage could be for services being rendered to them by any corporate body. That was exactly what you said, my brother. That was what you said, and it was not yesterday, not 2 days ago, today, in this hearing.
I'm being very careful so I'm not misunderstood, Mr. Chairman. I started from the viewpoint of, can one RRR exist beyond one account? And I said yes. And I said the extent is, before any payment is made, sir, the OAGF will have mandated into which account should any payment be split into. My attention is being drawn to the operational guidelines published on page 9. Revenue generated. Say all incomes can be paid, FGN portion of the collection to be paid into CRF TSA, partners portion of the revenue to be transferred to the partner's account. That's for a category 7. It goes on to category A to talk about revolving funds. So there are different types of payments that can be treated in different ways that will inform where the funds end.
Sure.
That is the point I'm trying to make,
Where
sir.
the fund ends, is it possible that where the fund ends will not be a TSA account? That's the question.
Very possible, sir.
It's
and
possible.
The guideline is very clear about that. I said there can be partners. It also speaks
So
about
who are the partners in this instance?
These are statutory, not Remita. These are statutory things I believe OAGF will speak to.
I understand, but you said in a partner's account. Can a partner be a corporate body other than a government institution?
Like I said, sir, the OAGF will be able to speak to that. If we're looking at this document, it states.
That's the document of the OAGF?
Yes, sir.
OAGF, oh yeah, answer that question, sir.
The Honorable Chairman, sir. The RRR are specifically linked to every transaction. And I want to make
Chairman, observation. Chairman.
Yes, observe, Honorable.
Thank you, Chairman. Because there are quite a lot of revelation coming out here. Even though Accountant General, Auditor General, and a few other issues are part of the team, but there are quite a lot of revelations that is coming out that they need to be on oath.
I agree with you, Honorable. I rule that the man representing the Accountant General be put on oath forthwith. Please administer the oath on him forthwith.
For your Adewale, do solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence I shall give before the committee and all the documents that I will present before the committee shall be truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. And we have MDAs that are fully funded, MDAs that are partially funded, MDA not funded through the federal.
Please, let's listen to this explanation. Yes, please.
Number one, we have MDA that are fully funded, MDA that are partially funded, MDA that are not funded through the federal budget, but expected to pay the operation surplus, which has been now raised to about 50% of 25% of gross earning. Which number four, MDA that are funded from the federation account, MDA agencies through the special account. We have portfolio-oriented public corporation, businesses, enterprise, which we refer to as GOE, and revenue generated under the public-private partnership. That was what he was trying to refer to. And the last one, which is number 8, MDA with revolving funds and project account. This involved the hospitals and all of those ones. So, and in every of these categories, the first one, MDA that are fully funded, the implementation strategy shall be all collections from this agency to be paid directly to the CRF, TSA. And 2, expenditure to be drawn from the CRF and base. These are 4 MDAs. Then category 2, MDA that are partially funded. Then the implementation strategy shall be all collections from this agency to be paid directly into the CRF and except the extra budgetary receipts, which are paid into the sub-account at the CBN. Then number 3, the MDA not funded through the federation account. Then in this area, but to remit 25% operational surplus, which has been up now to 50%. Then all collections from this agency to be paid into the sub-account, CBN, which are linked to TSA. And then 2, that the platform will be configured. This is done at the end of the Accountant General of the Federation. Platform shall be configured to allow access to fund, which is sub-account, based on the approved budgets. Number 4, MDA that are funded from the Federation account, all Federation revenue generated by this agency to be paid directly to the Federation account at the CBN, all independent revenue generated to be paid. All of these are stated. Now, the particular one, let me go straight to that particular one we refer to as RRR. RRR are directly linked to the transaction. It's a transactional-based reference. And then when you generate RRR, as implementation of the 50% auto deduction that they're doing right now, so the payer will just access the system, make payments. So the payer is making a single payment. But to the government, because these are laced with rules and regulations and revenue acts, laws that are made by the National Assembly. So the system will be configured to split the system, to split the payment into 2. Then one will go into CRF, as the case may be, and the other will go into the MDA sub-account, 50%. Then the 2 payments, as been split by the system, we have one single RRR. To the extent that if you have taken the deduction, maybe for reference purposes in the area picture, and this deduction will still be carrying the same RRR as the major deduction that goes into CRF. So that I say that this has 2 legs. One, even if it's going to be 3 legs, we have a situation where in the fund, Federal Airport Authority, where even in the related law, we have situations where their payments are split into 3 for whatever reasons, and we have to implement what the law says. In this particular transaction, we have RRR that will be split that transaction into 3. Every of those transactions we have 1 RRR. That whenever you pick any of the RRR, it will say this is a subset of other 2. Yeah. That's exactly how it works.
Okay, now, so there is no instance in which any of the sum should go into an account other than a TSA account?
No instance. Even in a PPA, public-private partnership arrangement, where maybe an MDA, because
has
of
a contract with a
private partnership, where the private partner help to generate revenue. Our implementation strategies in this area is just that there shall be TSA sub-account to be maintained at the CBN.
Thank you.
Number 1. 2, FGM portion, that is gross, because we at the Office of Accountant General, sir, we are interested in the, just like accrual method, gross revenue generation, then every portion that belongs to that partner shall be approved by the approving authority, then be paid to them separately. And that number 2 says that FG portion of the collection be paid into the CRF, and the partner's portion shall be transferred into the partner's account. This is going to be the responsibility.
Thank you very much. So the partners are actually government entities as well?
They may not be government entity. Like for instance, there was a time where they are discussing about what is the name of that company relating to Nigerian Port Authority. I've forgotten the name of the company. Intel. So in that situation where Intel generates money, it is expected that Intel will generate money in gross into the CBN account, and then the portion that the Intel is supposed to collect needed to be approved by the NPA, then be paid, so that if National Assembly calls us, we'll be able to provide both gross collection and then payment deduction that accompany it.
All right. CBN, there's also a portion of the agreement that talks about the linkage with the GIFMIS. The linkage of the Remita services with the GIFMIS platform. You are aware, what is the status of that?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With respect to GIFMIS, GIFMIS is the government technology that is expected to be used for their own transaction. And they are expected to interface with the Central Bank of Nigeria. But what we have today, as it is an interface between a gateway, payment gateway, which is the Remita payment gateway with the GIFMIS, and then the Remita has an interface with the Central Bank of Nigeria. At the moment, we have done a lot of discussion with the Office of the Accountant General to ensure that the GIFMIS platform is upgraded and it has a direct handshake with the Central Bank, but as it is today, that has not happened.
Why has it not happened?
Honestly, Mr. Chairman, I think OAGF is here. I think they can be able to speak to that.
But are you bothered that that has not happened?
We are actually worried, Mr. Chairman. We have written to OAGF on several occasions. We had a lot of meetings.
On several occasions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Okay, we had a lot of discussions and meetings.
You provide us with those correspondences.
Okay, we'll do that.
That you had with the OAGF on that matter. And then before then, I had an agreement with the Deputy Governor. He has another meeting to attend at 2. And so if we release him now at 1:30, it will be okay. But before you go, let me also say that there is the 2020 Auditor General's report that we're also going into. I hope these people are still the same persons handling that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
You came prepared for that too.
Yes,
okay, excellent. So, Mr. Deputy Governor, I want to seek the understanding of the House. We had an agreement before beginning that we'll release him at 1:30 to go and attend to other issues, and I want to seek your permission for him to take his leave now. Thank you, honorable colleagues. Yes, please. So who is...